Welcome to another exciting new video by War Secrets. The Second World War, though brutal, was a revolutionary period in human history when it came to technological advancements. From computers to nuclear technology, the world as we know it today was shaped by the technological advancements made during the war. However, the war also planted the seeds for another conflict that would span decades and pit capitalism and communism against each other, the Cold War. And as with every conflict, the opposing side would fight against time to develop newer weapons to defeat their enemy. This is why today we will look at one of the earliest Soviet jet fighters, the Yak-15. So stick with the video till the end to know the complete details. Now let's begin. At the end of World War II, the Soviet Union lagged behind the West in jet aircraft development. Such a shortcoming was intolerable to Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin, who prioritized the development of jet combat aircraft, resulting in rapid progress that surprised even the West. Alexander Yakovlev's aviation design company was a pioneer in the construction of first-generation Soviet jet fighters. At the closing years of World War II, the Soviet Union was in such a rush to produce a jet fighter that the concept of employing the Yakovlev Bureau to actually manufacture a duplicate of the German Messerschmitt Me-262 was seriously considered. Yakovlev and his engineers, on the other hand, presented an alternative idea that made more sense. They recommended fitting one of the Me-262's Junkers Jumo 004B axial flow turbojets to the Yak-3, in place of the aircraft's piston engine. As the Yak-3 had proven to be a highly flexible aircraft, the use of current Yak-3 assemblies would simplify and speed up production and deployment. The new aircraft was approved and given the designation Yak-15, with Mikhail Ivanov piloting the first flight on April 24, 1946, and it entered service with the Red Air Force in 1947. Fortunately for the Russians, by the beginning of 1945 their forces had seized a number of German BMW 003A and Junkers Jumo 004A turbojets, which were quickly dispatched back to Russian experimental institutes for testing. A hasty program was launched to speed up the development of jet fighters, and preparations were made to mass-produce copies of German engines. A task in which the Russians were greatly aided by Czech technicians who were able to pass valuable information on manufacturing techniques to Russian agents. Work on adapting the turbojets to Soviet production standards had progressed to a high level before Germany's final collapse, and the subsequent seizure of plants before BMW and Jumo engines only accelerated the Russian program. Captured German technicians were rushed to Russian factories where the turbojets were being manufactured. The Yak-15 was propelled by an RD-10 turbojet, a Soviet-built clone of the Jumo 004B, with a thrust of 8.83 kilonewtons at 9,840 feet. The Yak-15 had a top speed of over 500 miles per hour and a cruise speed of 404 miles per hour. In addition, the Yak-15 had a range of about 460 miles. Its service ceiling was approximately 43,800 feet. With these performance capabilities, the Yak-15, though rudimentary, outperformed most Soviet fighter aircraft at the time. The new jet fighter used the Yak-3's wings, undercarriage, and tail assembly, which were then attached to a new all-metal fuselage. The 1,980-pound ST Jumo 004B turbojet was located below the wing main spar, fed through a small, circular intake in the nose and exhausting beneath the rear fuselage, which was shielded from the jet stream by a convex steel bath. The fighter's underbelly was wrapped in stainless steel to shield it from the exhaust heat, and the tail wheel had a metal roller to protect it from the exhaust flow because it was a tail wheel landing arrangement. The Yak-15's compact size and light construction compensated to some extent for the turbojet's low output, resulting in performance that was comparable to that of contemporary Western jet fighters, while being crude and displaying abundant signs of its rushed design. However, pilots had expressed dissatisfaction with the pilot's view, or lack thereof, from the aft-positioned cockpit, notably during takeoff and landing. The aircraft's overall dimensions were 31 feet 6 inch in length and 31 feet 6 inch in width. Although the Yak-15 was said to be exceptionally agile, the tail wheel caused a long takeoff run. The Yak-15 was one of the smallest jet fighters ever built, with a top speed of 500 miles per hour, a ceiling of 43,800 feet, and a range of only 320 miles. It was the fastest plane ever built. The Yak-15 was never intended to be much more than a stopgap until more advanced jet fighters could be created, but it was an excellent transfer trainer for the first generation of Soviet jet pilots. It allowed trainees to master the principles of flying a jet plane while yet maintaining the Yak-3's exceptional handling characteristics. As a consequence, a total of 280 samples were created. The Yak-21, a two-seat conversion trainer derivative, was also designed. The Yak-15 wasn't the most fearsome aircraft the Soviets had ever constructed in terms of weaponry. But, as they say, all great things have a humble beginning. The Yak-15's weaponry consisted of two 23mm Nudelman Suranov NS-23 cannons, mounted in the forward fuselage's upper decking. Each of the NS-23 cannons came with just 60 rounds, giving the aircraft a total of 120 rounds to fire. This may seem sufficient, but keep in mind that the NS-23 gun could fire 550 rounds per minute. Parallel to the Yak-15, the Soviets were developing the MiG-9. More interestingly, both the Yak-15 and the MiG-9 prototypes took to the air for the first time on the same day. According to legend, Yakovlev and Artyom Mikoyan flipped a coin to see which of the two aircraft would be the first to take off, and Mikoyan won. Therefore, the MiG-9 took off a few minutes before the Yak-15. From that day on, Mikoyan and his collaborator, Mikhail Gurevich, were to stay ahead of Yakovlev in the realm of fighter aircraft development. The MiG-9, unlike the Yak-15, was a wholly new design, with two engines located in the fuselage. However, it weighed twice as much as the Yak. Its performance was no better. Furthermore, the MiG-9 had major design problems, some of which were never fully addressed. Firing its weapons, for example, may cause the engines to catch fire. The Yak-15 was clearly a stopgap measure since the beginning. It was one of the first in a series of Redan-configured aircraft produced by Yakovlev. The Redan configuration refers to the jet engine being grafted behind the fighter's nose so that the exhaust was right below the cockpit. Regardless of how inelegant the Yak-15 was, the Soviet Union, with the Yak-15, had an operational jet fighter capable of speeds exceeding 500 miles per hour. Faster than any pure-piston fighter in the Soviet Union's inventory. And inheriting much of the Yak-3's famed agility, as well as a manufacturing assembly line to quickly produce abundant numbers of Yak-15, despite the fact that the Yak-15 was only an intermediate model, 280 were built by the time manufacturing ended in March 1948, with all aircraft being made by State Factory 31 in Tbilisi, Georgia. The factory had already been constructing Yak-3s, so switching to the Yak-15 was quite simple. The Red Air Force gained great experience in jet fighter operations thanks to the Yak-15's similarities to the piston-powered Yak-3, which made the transition from prop to jet relatively simple. Because the RD-10 engine inherited the Jumo 004B's extremely short operational life of around 10 to 20 hours, the aircraft was deemed to be too unreliable for field operations. Several Soviet allies, including North Korea, also flew the Yak-15. This aircraft also stands out as being one of only two-piston engine fighters which were successfully converted to jet power. The other being, of course, the Saab J-21R, a de Havilland Goblin-powered version of the J-21, a twin-boom pusher fighter powered by a Daimler-Benz DB605 piston engine. Only one Yak-15 remains today, and it is on exhibition at Moscow's Vadim Zadorozhny Museum of Technology. So the Yak-15 was far from being the best aircraft, but it did fulfill the purpose for what it was built for and provided valuable expertise and experience which the Soviets would expand upon to, later on, build some of the best fighter jet aircraft the world has ever seen. That's all for today, folks. We hope you have found the video informative and fun to watch. Also, tell us in the comment section your views about the Yak-15. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon next to it for regular updates. Goodbye.